you ever heard the term safe word? While you may be thinking 50 Shades of Grey, I'm talking 50 Shades of Red. As the primary caregiver to my children, their evolving emotional, physical, and mental needs are becoming more and more consuming to me. Their booboos are no longer cuts and scrapes, rather a myriad of moments that are shaping their formative years. Those newly emerging personalities and emotions that I am teaching to self-regulate, all while trying not to crush their tiny little spirits, is challenging on its best day. Their homework requires patience from both of us. I am constantly answering questions, all while thinking, wait, aren't they too young to ask me this? And by the end of the day, the disarray, disagreements, and the disdain over my husband and kids, she's yelling again, faces, has me seeing red. 50 shades of it. The fact is, my spouse, the primary breadwinner, has his own set of concerns that consume him, and they are equally important. It is what he does with God's blessing that enables us to have this wonderful life. But even when he is around, why are they always walking past Dad to shout "Mommy" when they need something? And when did mom the noun become an action verb synonymous with parenting? And that is what we are going to tackle today. My guests today are two friends who turned into moms, then turned into unexpected entrepreneurs, and like the moms they seek to serve, they both faced many common challenges related to the healthcare, workforce, and societal systems in place that make today's standards for parents nearly impossible. Their products are genius yet simple, personal yet universal, premium quality yet budget conscious, and always non-toxic, just as they themselves are. They are thought leaders in maternal well-being who cultivate confidence in womanhood. Welcome co-founders of Baby Boldy, Megan Mangiarcino and Natalie McBride. Hi.
Hi, thank you, Susie.
So, you help women going into the first moments of motherhood in some cases with a packed bag of stuff that addresses not just the physical needs of the birth for a mom, but the mental acuity and awareness. And now a postpartum pack. How did you come up with products so precisely packed to prepare for this time?
Well, we, as you said in your introduction, are both moms ourselves. So we've been through the process of preparing for birth in a hospital. And we've done a lot of research and conversations with moms and took the time to really dig into understanding what moms expect and what they need and what they're missing when they go for a hospital birth. And compiled all of that for her in a bag so that she doesn't have to take the time to source those things, shop for those things, wait for them to come in if she's ordering them online, and then finding the right size bag to pack them all in. And hopefully she's still got enough energy to go and actually birth her baby.
Right. So I remember when I was, and I was a scheduled C-section, but still, I remember downloading lists, and every list was different from every other list. Yeah. And then I was overwhelmed.
Yeah, we felt like this was something that should be streamlined, and rather than using all of your mental energy on should I pack 4 onesies for this baby or 2, which you don't really need any of them. That instead let's actually focus on some other ways of preparation that are maybe a bit more important and things that we're not really thinking about, right? We get sucked into the cute swaddle blankets and forget to do things like prepare for the realities of what's about to hit with birth and early motherhood.
Right. So in addition to the necessities that are included in the pre-packed birth bag and now your postpartum bag, you also include words of encouragement and affirmation, which for some moms is really a lifeline to let them know these overwhelming emotions are normal and they aren't alone. So it sounds like what started as a way to help moms with a practical product has evolved into a broader reach of support by providing education, information, and links to resources by way of your social media platform. How did that transition happen?
Well, I think, it was always an intentional incorporation of both product convenience, but also a service, and that the bag is packed for you, and that frees up your time and your mental load to, as Megan said, really start focusing on what's to come and what's ahead and what is going to really require more intentionality and positive affirmation. And so, we never wanted to just sell a bag that was practical. We wanted to free up her time and her mental load by taking that off of her to-do list while providing a support system that was built into the product that we felt like we were missing.
It sounds like a sense of community.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And I think there's so much, when we were both new moms, how many times do we find ourselves saying, why didn't anyone tell me this?
So many, because then we wouldn't have had kids.
That's very possible.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Probably not true. In fact, this morning, this is a true story. This morning, my son said, when did you know that you wanted to have kids? And I said, when I found out I was pregnant. And my husband had to leave the room because he remembers that day and how I responded after that test. So, but I was so overwhelmed with the idea that I was going to have a baby.
Yeah.
Right? And I've said in the past that all you really need to leave a hospital legally is a car seat.
Right.
They don't check if you can read or write or if you're well-to-do or if you have 3 working brain cells. Do you have a car seat and can you click it into the car?
They might send you home with a 3-ring binder on how to keep your baby alive, which is super helpful.
I would love that. I never got that.
Honestly, it's like, who's cracking that thing open at, midnight when baby's screaming and
Nobody.
You're exhausted and you don't know which way is up and you feel alone and isolated and you're in your darkest moments, right? Those are the things that our moms didn't tell us about. They just said, oh, I breastfed my babies and it was wonderful.
Sleep when the baby is sleeping.
Yes.
Yeah. And the laundry fairies will come about and they will take care of the laundry.
Right. Yeah.
Right? There was all this advice people gave me. None of it was real or practical. Yep. No one told me about the pee-pee panties that I would then soon be ordering from your website, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about that. We get a bag, and that bag is basically my to-go bag to your community.
Yes.
I'm entering with that birth bag to a new stage of my life. And like you said, these moms in the middle of the night. I know today's moms, or when I was up in the middle of the night, the first thing I did was I got on my phone and I scrolled, right? And what used to be nonsense and meaningless is now replaced with helpful tips and information. I'm logging on to Baby Boldly on Instagram and I'm seeing these resources to the Blue Dot Project.
Yes.
Or can you share some other, things that you provide through that sense of community that I, even as a mom now, not a new mom, I'm a seasoned mom.
Yes.
I'm an everything but the bagel mom. However, every time I get on there, it reinforces that I'm not alone.
Exactly.
So what made you go to that step and really address some of those tough topics like postpartum depression?
Well, about 20% of moms in America suffer from some form of a maternal mental health disorder, postpartum depression being one of the most commonly known ones. There have been recent stories in the news about psychosis in postpartum.
Wow.
And that is a lot more rare, but it's what gets attention in the news and really, stirs up some conversation, good conversation, more that needs to be going on about the varying degrees of
mental health awareness. We have to be, you have to feel it to heal it.
Yes.
We can't avoid the discussions because if we keep saying and that's another topic, right? When we say moms need help. So I myself, after the birth of my second child, I remember the 2-week checkup. I went to the doctor and he said, "How are you feeling?" I said, "I feel like very, and he said, "Okay, homicide or suicide?" That was honestly.
Wow.
And it was a very poignant question because he wanted to know if I was feeling depression or postpartum depression, anxiety. Those are two very different feelings. And that was a crazy, I didn't even know those were options. Did you know that?
I knew. My mom told me about it when I was a child. Did your mom mention any of the... Yeah.
My mom did.
No. She might have. Honestly, I don't remember it being a huge... something that she like prepped me for.
Yeah.
My mom is a therapist, so I think she was aware that was a possibility, but I don't think that she wanted me to go into motherhood thinking like maybe I'm going to get PPD.
Yeah.
So we didn't talk about it a whole lot, but I will say I feel like what gets really confusing for moms is the baby blues. Everyone's like, oh, no, you'll just have the baby blues. This is really common that you're going to go through this hormonal shift. You're going to be sad. You might cry a lot. And that's the baby blues, and it's totally normal.
I never heard that in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody told me that. I remember thinking like, because when I got pregnant, one of the best pieces of advice I got was don't read anything online. Don't go searching. Don't everything to expect when you expect. Get that little thing that you chew, the size of a peanut, the size of an eggplant, the size of a mango. That's all I wanted to know about the baby, what was developing, so I knew how best to care for myself for that fetus. But when it came to like the bad stuff, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
Yeah.
My first pregnancy was a sad pregnancy, but it was a happy birth. My second pregnancy was a happy pregnancy, but I was sad after. And I didn't know there was such a thing as baby blues.
Yeah.
I just figured that, something was off.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think that's partly education, but then sometimes hearing about, it's good to know this is common, that maybe what I'm experiencing is very normal, but also it can be confusing when it comes to where's the scale of what's the normal, like just this is a little hormonal shift, or I need to go talk to somebody because I'm in serious trouble right now. And I think that we've seen that, as an example, that goes for your mental health, that goes for your physical health as well. When we talked about putting together our postpartum kit, one of the things we wanted to focus in on was helping moms identify nipple pain that's normal versus abnormal. And that was a big thing for us is, we both suffered through our breastfeeding, experiences, both with both of our kids. But we didn't really know, okay, when does this become like normal discomfort versus when do I need to go see a lactation consultant because something is terribly wrong with whatever. So I think that, having really tangible examples of this is normal. If it feels like this, that's okay. If it starts to feel like this, you're getting into some, you might need to talk to somebody. If it feels like this, you absolutely need to go talk to somebody. So we've kind of tried to really simplify that for the new mom and make it really, really basic and help her understand her own body and also know when to ask for help.
It's interesting that you say for the new mom, because I recently purchased one of your Baby Boldly bags as a gift for a very good friend, and she is on her third child. There's a 10-year age difference between her last child and this one, and she feels like she's a brand new mom because she doesn't know what momming is like a decade after her last baby.
Oh, yeah.
So like I said before, when I was feeling anything, and people have this tendency to go online and Google, and worst case scenario will most likely come up first, or you panic yourself into anxiety attack like I tend to do. You are coming with a curated collection that you've already addressed the experts, and now I get this kit. This helps me on my leg of the journey.
Yes.
Onto motherhood, which is where I went with my bag because I'm on this trip, right? We're on a journey, which is a great way to start this bag. I love this. And then once you have the baby, that second bag, the postpartum bag, there was no such thing when I gave birth.
No.
Yeah.
You are, mind-blowing, revolutionary. Tell me how this came to be.
The postpartum bag?
Yes, the postpartum bag specifically.
Well, gosh, that's
because that's the most mortifying time of every woman's life.
It is, and it's confusing.
No one told me.
It's so confusing, right? You're like,
when does it end?
Yeah.
Is this normal?
Yeah. Well, like Megan was saying, there's there's something certainly to be said about community and having real conversations about our individual experiences and finding those commonalities. But there's also something to be said about creating these tangible resources that cut through the noise and just boldly put it out in front of you to guide you through the spectrum of pain or the spectrum of
healing.
Yeah. And I think, when we can bring together the community and also the tangible resources and put them in front of a new mom, whether she's 3 times in or it truly is her first baby, then she's got a much better trajectory ahead of her for motherhood. And again, with Baby Boldly, we really wanted to create products that were innovative and solution driven, and we're going to really support mom. And what was missing in the market was first this pre-packed birth bag,
Right.
and then a comprehensive postpartum kit that really brought all of the parts of you, not just lactation care, not just bleeding care, not just affirmations, but all of those things together in one bag that really, again, sets her on this trajectory to thrive instead of scrambling and trying to survive. And perhaps that will save her from drowning in the mental load and the hormonal fluctuations that set 20% of moms into a spiral of depression and sets them back. And in the end, if moms aren't being taken care of, they can't do their best job to take care of their babies. And we all, of course, agree that caring for baby is incredibly important. But where we felt like what was missing in America especially was really putting the focus back on mom and how she really needs more care and community and resources to be given to her so that she can be the best mom that she wants to be.
Yeah, that's such an important way of looking at it. We're starting really grassroots.
Yeah.
Okay, so as moms, we encourage each other to reach out for help or support and share and not stay isolated. Let me just say that I have reached out, and I don't know if you follow me on social media, but I am very vocal, and my platform is essentially designed so that more of us feel less alone. So I say the somewhat uncomfortable things that are about me, about my husband, with his permission.
You're being bold.
I'm being bold. I have my bold mama sweatshirt.
Yes.
I actually wore it all day yesterday. I wanted to wear it today, but then it smelled. So I didn't want to do another load of laundry. Sorry, ladies.
Hey.
But let me just say that when I've reached out and asked for advice or sought counsel, man, the mom shame is real and vicious. How can we find spaces where we won't be judged or shamed? Are there social media pages? Where are those mom groups? Do you have, and I see sometimes you share things by like Mom Life Comics. Do you find those to be helpful? Tell me a little bit about where you engage to see the positive side of what could be perceived as shitty parenting.
I love that. Are you going to bleep that out?
I don't have to bleep that.
Good. Gosh, that's such a good question.
It is. And I think, one of the things that when we first started Baby Boldly, we actually didn't even mean to start a product business. That happened by accident.
Totally.
We came together and we were like, this shit sucks.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about it.
Let's the worst towel. What is that? A washcloth? I just birthed a human. You just gave me you could say all this shit out loud now. We've opened the box.
We have opened the box. So I think we came together. We're like, we got to do something. We don't even know what it is yet, but we got to make this better.
You're building the plane as you're flying it,
right?
Like Gen Xers, right? I don't know if you're Gen Xers, millennials, whatever you are.
Well, yeah,
it's
technically millennials.
Okay, we forgive them.
But so we definitely, one of the biggest things for us was like, we're so sick of getting on social media and seeing this perfect version of motherhood and parenting where everything is like in place in someone's living room, sitting on their white couch, staring and, lovingly at their baby without milk stains on their breasts. Like,
Yeah, or blood on the couch.
Yeah, that's not real.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's get real. And I think that that's, you know, and we are kind of shifting. I think we've all kind of seen it. There's a lot of like right now talk about the ugly side of parenting, and like we're allowing ourselves to get kind of mad and like be like, this, you know, this is what my toddler did today that made me want to rage. And I think that's really, really great that we're starting to, you know, get a little bit more bold and talk about the dark side because it's there. But then we also have to take that a step further and talk about, all right, so yeah, we're all kind of experiencing the same challenges. Let's get to the root of what's causing these challenges and start solving those problems.
Be honest.
And that's where we start to see, like, I think where our business, where we, you know, we ultimately dream about going to is advocacy and really changing societal norms and honestly just legislation, all of that. Like, there's so much more we need to be doing as a country, and I think that there's so much more we need to be doing to take that a step further. So yes, we all have to be bold and be loud about what we're all struggling together, because it's the same thing, and obviously the mom shaming is super real. So you know, I think that's going to exist for a while. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't contribute to anything productive.
Right.
It's this vicious cycle, whether you're shaming or you're just comparing rage stories, right? And so what Megan is saying is that, you know, when you dig into that deeper, you know, what sort of possibilities become possible because we've made some meaningful change and we haven't just talked ourselves
You're taking your
around
vision
in a
board
circle.
and turning it into an action plan.
Yes.
So let's take it a step further. It's bad enough to be judged by others, but what about how I beat myself up every time I don't think that I am living up to some ideal image of motherhood? The guilt I feel when I am overwhelmed, the shame of wanting time alone for myself, the resentment that builds each time I watch the kids walk past Daddy to ask me something, even though he didn't tell them to. By the way, the safe word I mentioned earlier, it's onomatopoeia.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a good one. That means that when I say onomatopoeia, my husband knows he has to say, babe, why don't you go take some time for yourself?
Love it.
Because what I've discovered is that it's not enough for me to walk away, because then I still go into those feelings of shame and guilt.
Yep.
I need the permission for him to say, no, we need you to go take care of yourself.
We're good.
And you're saying that your product is inherently telling a mom from the very first second she buys that product, hey, lady, you're going to forget you in this journey.
Yes.
Here's your packed bag.
Yep.
Take it with you. There's important words in there that you need to repeat to yourself. Because on your website, what moved me most was the way you address the deepest mom parts of me. You share the most complete way to care for a baby is to first care for the mother. Megan and Natalie write, we are here for the moms who feel unseen, are expected to do it all, who are scared to screw it up, have wisdom to share, who loved amidst loss, are overwhelmed and exhausted, are living into their new identity, have yet to be. We are for you. How did you know that in addition to the Baby Boldly bag, part of being a bold mama is addressing what everyone else isn't? When a mom asks for help, we don't just mean the symptoms of stress by way of medication, rather with support by way of acknowledgement. What you said, giving us permission to vent and rage and do it in a brave space, in a bold space where you're taking those words and you're saying, let these be the seeds of the action that we're going to take as advocates.
Yes.
How did you even know? What was your personal experience that drove you in that moment? Like you said, you were like, this is bullshit. I can't go have a second baby with this crappy set of stuff.
Yep.
And yet we did.
And yet you did.
And yet we did.
But you came out of that and you said, no, I'm not going to let another mom experience this and walk out of this into Lexapro 20 milligrams. That's me. I'm the 20 milligrams of Lexapro. Ativan emergency in case of emergency, right? In case I get the hot flash panic attack starting. But now I have the tools and the resources to know that when I start to feel that, it's okay.
Yep.
And instead of pushing those feelings aside and leaning into the mom part of just work harder, just push past that and just work harder, I now pause, process, and think, hold on. Whatever's going to happen, I need to plan because it can't be good if I'm coming from this frame of mind.
Right. And I think that for us, I'll say it was a little bit different. Both of our experiences, I think that was really the driver. And I'll let Natalie speak to hers, but for me, it was the working mom back to work after 3 months home, you know, dealing with both the shame and guilt of leaving your baby and sadness because I just wasn't ready to leave my baby. And then also trying to, you know, be at work and pretend like everything's fine. And also then my kid's sick every 4 days because they're in daycare. And, you know, all that whole juggle that first year, I was like, I could never do this again. This is not sustainable for anyone. Like, what are we doing? This is ridiculous. So for me, that it was that whole very classic first year post maternity leave back to work, trying to do literally everything and feeling like I was failing at literally everything.
Right. You can't be 100% everywhere at the same time. So it's, you know, something's got to give.
Yeah.
And usually it's your mental health.
Yep. And I mean, Natalie and I, we were both working moms at the same time. And that's kind of, we came together to both solve problems in a bigger way and also create design a different life for ourselves as well. So, you know, becoming entrepreneurs helped create that new space for us to be able to put our families first and, you know, contribute to this world in a way that felt like it was really impactful and maybe going to make things better for our sons and daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, about 6 weeks, I was sitting on my couch where I just seemed to revolve my whole life after having my firstborn. And at about 6 weeks, I thought, something's not right. And I think I need to go see my psychologist. And turns out that I had postpartum depression and anxiety. I had been diagnosed with general anxiety disorder prior to becoming pregnant, starting my family, and was put on a small dose of Lexapro, 5 milligrams. And when I came to my first prenatal visit, confirmed the pregnancy, she said, "Oh, you know, you could stay on it or maybe not." Okay. And then I had another doctor's appointment with just my general internist, and he said, "Oh, you should definitely stop taking that medication." So I went, you know...
Cold turkey?
Yeah, so I went back home and cold turkey. And had no idea there were going to be withdrawal side effects.
Oh, my God.
So I'm, you know, walking around my office where Megan and I first met each other, where we were working together, and, you know, pregnant and going through these withdrawals from my medication. And then I had my baby and ended up in a more severe mental health disorder position, and was dead set on breastfeeding, and was still convinced that that wasn't okay to put myself back on my medication. There was still no clarity. And so, you know, by now it's been over a year that I've been off my medication. My condition has worsened, and I'm responsible for the mother load. And so I remember I finally felt like I came to a place where I had permission to put myself back on my medication. And just the fact that there was not any sort of clarity between my physician on how to handle my own medication in my situation was very disturbing to me. When I look back on that, I'm like, how was I so calm about that? Probably because at the time I was on my medication.
Right.
But anyway, so that felt and I certainly knew I wasn't the only one that could.
None of us are unicorns. I always say, if I'm going through something, the reason I say it loud and proud is because I know somebody out there is experiencing this, and this could help them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think that everything that you've shared and everything that you've done has helped moms exponentially, from the bag, the before bag, the after bag. And for those of you who don't know, you don't have to be pregnant or postpartum to buy their pee-pee panties. They work, right? Because now I have no fear of what's in the rear. That's your tagline. Who do you think came up with that tagline?
I love it.
So I want to say thank you tremendously for everything that you've done and everything that you do and everything you will continue to do, Megan and Natalie. You can find Baby Boldly at www.babyboldly.com and follow them on Instagram at Baby Boldly.
Yes.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you so much, Susie.
Thank you, Susie. Love to be here.
Thanks for being bold with us.
Oh, it's a privilege. It's a privilege. It's time for our honorable mention. Mensch is the Yiddish word for a person of integrity and honor with a sense of what is right and responsible. This week's honorable mention is Dr. Colleen Bell, Medical Director at Sulzbacher Center in Jacksonville, Florida. Dr. Bell, along with the team that she has built, is a trust builder who is working on cracking the code of care to one of the most misunderstood groups we are challenged with as a society, the mental health homeless population. With the patience of a mom, she takes the time to hear the stories and figure what help they need. For some, they literally feel like it is a rebirth. You can follow the work Dr. Bell is doing by following the Mental Health Offenders Program through the Sulzbacher Center in Jacksonville, Florida.